Hello and welcome to week 1 of the Listening Path. This week focuses on listening to our environment. This chapter focuses quite a bit on Julia's dog, Lily, and how she responds to the weather and storms. So if you're a pet owner, whether you have cats or dogs, you know they certainly tap into what's going on and respond in different ways to that. On page 39, the first step on the listening path is to listen to what we may be in the habit of tuning out, the world around us. This week, you'll be asked to tune into your environment. We'll explore the sounds that surround us, those we enjoy and those we avoid. We'll practice tuning in so that we may connect to our world and to our relationship in the world. What is your soundtrack? The listening path tunes us into our surroundings. Its first tool focuses on what we hear around us. We take the time to notice our sonic environment. Is it soothing or abrasive? Loud or soft? As we tune into the sounds around us, we take notice of what it is we'd like to change. We're creatures of habit, and we can become habituated to some very unpleasant things. Our alarm clock may shrill for our attention. A little shopping trip would yield us a clock with a pleasant chime. But we tell ourselves that our harsh clock is no big deal, and so our days begin on a discordant note. Ditto for our microwave. It beeps ready, and its beep too is discordant. No big deal, we tell ourselves, if we notice its sound at all. And so on through our day. We are here, but we don't hear. It's no more pun to say we yearn for lives that are more sound. Our daily soundtrack can be consciously altered. The expenditure of cash for a lovely sounding alarm clock pays off handsomely as we wake to a more pleasant world. Sound by sound, we can move through our day asking always, is this sound pleasant? An astonishingly high percentage of our answers are no. Working to change no to yes, we find ourselves relaxing. Now, there we need to be realistic, and that's why we need to assess and go through focused on our day. What are the sounds in our immediate environment? What can we realistically change? And what do we have to find other solutions for? Because we can't change every sound that grates on us, but we can change how we respond to that. On page 41, gentle sounds make for gentle lives. As our kindly sounds soothe our psyches, we become more kindly. Rather than acting abruptly as harsh staccato sounds seem to demand, we respond rather than react, and we respond tenderly. As we take in the sonic environment that speaks to our heart, we're able to forge more heartfelt lives. As we soften the tone of our lives, we soften our responses to the world around us. No longer harsh and staccato, our lives become gentler. Sound healing is the specialty of the late Don Campbell. His book, The Roar of Silence, is a classic in the field. His later book, The Mozart Effect, argues persuasively that music impacts not only our mood, but our IQ. Children exposed to Mozart are happier and brighter, he posits. A sampling of Mozart also makes for better-tempered adults, he asserts. As John Barlow states, take seriously the idea that music can represent emotional states. Liberate your body in this world and save your soul in the next. Next, Julia goes on to talk about music. Music lifts us to higher realms. Musicologists tell us that music is our highest art form, drawing its listeners closer to God. Undeniably, listening to certain music is a spiritual experience. Handel's Messiah lifts the listener into sacred realms, delivering a spiritual experience as well as an aesthetic one. Pachelbel's Canon in D soothes in the soul. It's profoundly reassuring. Schubert's Ave Maria is spiritually opening. It soars and invites the listener to soar with it. Do you have a favorite piece of music? Let me know in the comments down below. I personally love Moonlight Sonata. It just relaxes me. It's a piece I could listen to on repeat for quite a bit of time. I also find H.G. Wells' musical War of the Worlds a very pleasant listen as well. I enjoy the story combined with the music. So I definitely agree that music is very important to our daily lives, whether we're listening to a CD or the radio, something on YouTube or another platform. She mentions here flute music is a companion in our loneliness, and I have several different CDs that are simply instrumental music, which I very much enjoy as well. Another part that stood out for me is on page 42. Too many of us live our lives pell-mell. We rush from event to event. We feel that velocity is our friend, but is it? When we slow our pace, we find our lives unfolding at a comprehensible rhythm. We hear ourselves think. The listening path demands we pay attention. We must listen to the sound of our lives if we are to live sound lives. Now there, I made a note, and it's kind of ironic I'm recording this in what used to be my treatment room. And I used to do Reiki and reflexology sessions with clients. Sadly, it didn't work out, so this has now become my recording space. But that paragraph really stood out when I read it. It truly amazed me when clients would be calm and relaxed during the appointment, which was great. That was the point. And then they were going to go race off to do other things, which just undermined the whole point of the appointment in the first place. One of the exercises that she lists, this is on page 43. For one day, keep a log of your soundtrack. Begin with the buzz of your alarm clock. Ask yourself, is this sound pleasant or abrasive? Keep this thought in mind as the timer beeps on your coffee maker, as your microwave signals that your breakfast bowl of oatmeal is ready. Note the sounds that you hear on your way to work, or if you're going out for errands. Ask yourself, could I take a different, less hurried route? Notice the hubbub of the diner where you routinely eat lunch. Is there a quieter alternative? Continue through your day noting sounds and your reactions to them. At day's end, jot down your discoveries. What changes could you make to your auditory experience more pleasant? Be gentle on yourself. Treat your ears with loving care. Now, you may want to carry a little notebook if you travel around, because if you've had a busy, hectic day, it could certainly be easy to forget some of those things that you've heard or noticed in the moment throughout the day. And then in the evening, as she suggests, go through and assess. Are there some of those things that you could change or modify? Another activity is on page 46. Quickly jot down 3 sounds in your environment that you can't control. Tune into each of the sounds. Do they make you frustrated, anxious, nervous? Is there anything you could do to try and change these sounds? If not, could you avoid them? Allow yourself to consider the possibilities beyond tuning them out, and see if you don't find yourself feeling more empowered and more free. Now, an example there for me is one of my neighbors has someone who comes to do yard work, and it's one power tool after another. If you've seen my yard work videos, I do everything by hand. I have a lawnmower that is quiet. The odd time we'll use the weed eater, but I typically do things quietly. So things like noisy lawnmowers, leaf blowers, weed eaters, all of those sounds grate on my nerves. I'm not saying people shouldn't use them, to each their own. You do you. I can certainly understand if you're doing a number of yards in a day, you can't spend an hour or two, as I do, obviously, just doing my own thing. Thankfully, that individual is only here once a week, and that's when I either listen to some music or come do things downstairs where I don't hear the sounds as much. The exercise on page 54, take pen in hand and write out a weather report. Is it clear, foggy, sunny, raining, something else? What impact does the weather have on your environment, on your mood? Do you find yourself under the weather or in a sunny mood? Record the sounds of the day. For me, that's an easy one because I've done this type of a program so many times over decades and different programs created by different people, but I always pay attention to the weather. One, because when I was working and I still drove, I needed to know if I had to leave home early or not to get to work on time, because I'm very focused on my yard, especially through the spring and the summer when I want to plan days to get out and do things, and certainly in the fall and the winter, because if snow is coming or other things, you need to be mindful of that. I do think it's very important to make note of how does different weather impact our mood? Thunderstorms are something I typically look forward to, but I don't live in an area like a friend of mine where tornadoes are a very real reality. So a coming thunderstorm is a very different situation for me than it would be for her. And that's why it's important to assess how does the different weather impact us and how we move through the rest of our day. Those are just a few of the exercises in week number 1. Each week ends with a personal check-in. Have you kept up with your morning pages, artist dates, and walks? What have you discovered in consciously listening to your environment? Do you find that you feel more connected to the world around you? Name one memorable experience of listening. What was that aha that came from it for you? Again, remember, the whole purpose of doing this is to have fun, tap into your creativity, learn about your own listening, and in this particular week, what is it in your environment that you are hearing? Next week, we're moving on to week 2, listening to others. And until then, be well, be safe, and big hugs.